Greetings, everybody. Welcome. John Eravos is here to talk to you about Ukraine, the latest news, but also about Roe v. Wade, since I do breaking news as well as Ukraine news, and Roe is about as breaking as you get. So today I'm going to start with the Roe v. Wade, with Ukraine, actually, and then we'll move on to Roe v. Wade. But first, as always, I'm going to get the TikTok folks in here, and boom. And then we're going to wait a couple minutes just for folks to join. We get the light up a little. I'm always playing with the lighting. All right. Let's wait for the TikToks, the ticker talkers. Hello, all. Feel free to say where you're from. That's kind of our tradition. Ashley, you're first. Welcome. I'm going to mirror the video before I get yelled at. There we go. Ha. Anyway, if everybody would just kind of say where you're from, that would be a lovely way to start. And as always, we'll chat for a couple seconds, for a couple minutes, until usually 5 after the hour is when we start officially. So Key West again. God, I can't believe anybody gets to live in Key West. So how are things going otherwise? Quebec, a box in the middle of nowhere. I hope they let you out of your box. Wales, we know Wales, and Quebec. There's several Quebecs. Oh, yeah, prepping to march, I am sure. Oh, boy. Pobeda, Ukraine. Pobeda. I'm not sure what Pobeda means, but since your name makes clear you're one of the good guys, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to translate this as we're sitting here. Pobeda. Of course, for all I know, I'm like swearing in Ukrainian. Oops. Detect language. Detect language. Victory. Oh, that's cool. Pobeda. Victory. That's nice. Pobeda Ukraina from Putin sucks. Something that we don't want to say out loud. Hello, Denmark and Chicago. Radoslav, good to see you again as always. Type /mod Nathan if you want me to be an admin. Is that the way it works? Where do I really? Okay, /mod space. Remember, guys, we go till about 5 after the hour. Just chatting amongst ourselves, waiting for enough folks to join us. So don't get turned off that we're not starting yet. But we do the soft launch because it takes about 5 minutes for folks to get in. /mod Nathan Lindloff. Let me try that on my Twitch. Who knew? I mean, you knew, and I'm sure Syndicate knew, but I did not. All right. Make life difficult. Your channel. They make it very hard to find things on Twitch, I find. All right. I'm going to enter. Pause. All right. /mod, hang on, space, Nathan. It doesn't give me a suggestion. That's not fair. Lindloff, Lindloff. Oh, there you go. How cool is that? Technology. Yeah, I'm not surprised that CNN stopped talking about Ukraine. This is a huge story. I mean, this is a huge story for America. So, you know, it's the big story. You thought I wasn't coming on today. Oh, I'm coming on today. We got lots of news today, actually. I mean, like I said, between the, yep, I did not realize that. That's cool. In Twitch. Oh, Joanna, you're a girl of every social media. Look at you, popping up everywhere. Putin sucks. Thank you for the hat. Well, okay. I was just going to say, yeah. Mod already did it. I was going to say that guy was so close to being out of here anyway, but when you start with those kind of comments, Sasha's a little better today. All right, guys, we're going to start in 1 minute. So I'll do 1 more minute of talking about my dog. Sasha's a little better today. Last night, she peed in my bed but I mean, an enormous pee, a 3-foot wide pee, which for a 10-pound dog should be impossible. I'm not kidding you. It was this freaking big. I woke up thinking I was sweat. I mean, it was disgusting. Thinking I'm sweating. I wasn't sweating. Got up. It's 4 in the morning, and the dog has now peed on everything. So, like, all the sheets come off, everything comes off. 4 in the morning. I'm like, I'm gonna kill you, dog. I mean, I already, as you all know, I already have a hard enough time sleeping. So changed everything. But I've been giving her extra water because she hasn't been well. Today, she did not eat from yesterday to this morning, and I did that on purpose because she threw up yesterday. And for dogs, they sometimes say give them a day. So I gave it a rest, and she ate this morning. I gave her only partial meal. I went to the vet and I got the sort of the canned prescription food that's a little. So we'll see. We'll see. She doesn't. I mean, she shouldn't need diapers, but she's anyway. Today she's eating again, which is good, but I'm going very slowly. So all right, guys, that was the dog update. We don't want to turn off. It's funny. The folks on YouTube and Twitch and everything are fine with these updates. The TikTokers, so sensitive, so sensitive. You'll see like 100 people drop when we're waiting to start the show. It's like, I want it now. I want it now. Thank you, Tom Bomba, for the corgi. So folks, yeah, so today we are going to start, we can talk Sasha more towards the end. We are going to start with Ukraine news, and then we are going to switch over to Roe v. Wade at the end because it is a huge story in America. And we'll do dog update at the end as well. Thank you, Listen Bee, for the hat. And we will do Roe v. Wade at the end, which is the abortion debate in America. And the reason we're going to do it actually is because one of the things that I had planned really from the beginning to do with this community is at some point, Ukraine hopefully wins the war and there will be no more war news. And, what do I do with 500,000 TikTok followers? Well, maybe we talk about other news was the idea. So I've decided that whenever there is a big news story, we will jump in and cover it as well. And obviously, this is a big news story. This is a huge news story. So, all right, guys, let me start. So the way we're going to do this is I start 20, 25 minutes. Let's see how long. I cut some stories to make it a little shorter, how long the news is. And then we get to the Q&A section. For you guys, as you know, TikTok removed the Q&A from my lives. We don't know why. But if you would go to my profile, you will still see the Q&A there. So go to my profile, look for Q&A. You should see it. Some people don't. And enter your questions there. Makes it a little easier. Worst comes to worst. Thank you, Lisa K. Worst comes to worst, when we're doing the Q&A, if my eye catches your question typed right here, that works too. It's easier to do the Q&A because at least they're in a row and I actually can scan them. I might lose it if you write it here, but you get it. On YouTube, etc., obviously you can use the comment box. Because I get so many questions and I can't answer all of them, YouTube has a special feature. I wish the other ones did, but they don't. YouTube has a special feature where you can buy a super chat question or a super sticker. Super sticker simply is a way of saying thank you and throwing a funny thing on the screen, just like they do GIFs on TikTok. Super questions, you actually pay for the question. It gives it a special thing, makes it really obvious on the screen. And I always promise that I not only will answer every super chat question, but I will try to answer them as the next question. Sometimes I fail and the mods get on my case for it and then I remember, but usually I try to. So it's a way of supporting my work, but also a way of guaranteeing your question gets answered. And I noticed somebody mentioned I did just set up a backup account just to be safe on TikTok because the trolls have gotten already 4 of my videos banned in just a couple days. And it's ridiculous. They're nothing, but all you need to do is complain a lot about one video and they ban it. So it's what's even more annoying actually is that on TikTok, the feature is broken on my account to appeal. Because if you appeal, they'll look at it and usually they fix it in a couple hours. I can't appeal. It's not letting me appeal. It's really freaking annoying. So anyway, what do you do? So in any case, I set up a backup account. It's Aravosis Backup, one word, Aravosis Backup. And I would suggest going, if you're on TikTok, go there, sign up there as well. You'll see the one video that's me, and you'll see me proving it with my map and all that it's me, and it's me saying orally, Aravosis Backup is my account. That way we know for sure. See, I went through all of this and we lost 100 TikTokers. The TikTokers are so sensitive. It's like, bam, I want everything in the world news. 5 seconds. Tell me what happened in the world today. Jeez, not you guys. You guys are good. Thank you, Rodney, for that. All right, so let me jump in. So Ukraine, Severo Donetsk. So Severo Donetsk is that province, not that province, it's the city in eastern Ukraine that there has been lots of battles going on. The big battle was taking place there. Well, we found out today that as of several days now, the oh, that's funny. Okay, thank you. I did not realize that. Yeah, that's really weird. Yeah, you click to go to the page where the appeal would be, and it's a white page that doesn't load. It's ridiculous. I think it's something wrong on their thing, or they're playing games. Any case, Severo Donetsk. So this is the big battle we've been talking about for weeks now. What has happened is, as of several days ago, Arifa, you're back. Thank you for that. As of several days ago, the Ukrainians already were starting to withdraw their troops from Severo Donetsk, but they didn't want the Russians to know, so they were doing it slowly and strategically. So they finally announced it like last night or this morning. At this point, the mayor of the town, who I guess is still a good guy, not a collaborator, says that the town is now occupied by the Russians. The Russians are now in control. And, c'est la vie. I will say I'm not particularly shocked and I'm not particularly upset about it, because I never assumed the Ukrainians were going to be able to hold on to the town. A lot of the military observers, I mean, I've told you guys this. I didn't think the Ukrainians were going to win. I thought the Ukrainians were going to put up a fight and really drag it out. The idea behind what the Ukrainians did was to drag this out for a few weeks, make the Russians put all of their best military, which they did, in this area going after this town. It stopped the Russians from advancing in the south. The regions that they've invaded down here, they had to put on pause. It hampered their efforts around Kharkiv because they had to bring their troops down here. They also took their troops here and moved them to Severo Donetsk as well. So it slowed the Russians down everywhere. And the idea was to give time for the Western weapons to arrive, for all of these artillery pieces, etc. So it was a strategic decision. I mean, I'm not saying that as BS. It really was a strategic decision by the Ukrainians. I mean, it's possible they thought they could win. I'm not convinced. But let me say this. Putin wanted to win, I believe, that entire region, Donbass, by tomorrow. I don't think anybody thinks he's getting the entire region by tomorrow. I don't think so. But in any case, that's what's up with that. The one sort of interesting news story with this was I had read today that Russia overnight bombed the plant, that chemical plant in Severodonetsk, in the industrial sector where 500 civilians are hiding. And I think that was a timely story. So I think that still happened. Let me move on. I've got no news updates on the Americans that were detained. There's nothing new. Let me just read a little bit more from what the news was saying. The withdrawal from Severodonetsk was to save soldiers' lives, move them to better fortified positions. The process for withdrawing the soldiers from the fiercely contested city of Severodonetsk lasted several days, but was only revealed on June 24th due to security concerns. Moving troops to more strategic important areas such as Lysychansk, which is right across the river, will allow Ukrainian forces to prepare for a more effective counteroffensive in the future. This was an interesting story. So there were overnight airstrikes on Ukraine from Belarus, and in an attempt by the Russians to draw Belarus into the war. Thank you, Jesse, for that. Belarus, the country of Belarus, is up here. oops, beep, 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 there we go, is up here, okay? Northwestern Ukraine. This is Russia all the way over here. This is Belarus. When the Russians invaded originally, Belarus was their compatriot in the attack. A lot of Russian troops came through Belarus and down into Ukraine. And when they were beaten in Kyiv, the capital here, and they were pushed back, a lot of the troops were pushed back and went into Belarus to basically recoup and then eventually go back to Russia. So Belarus has been a party to this war from the beginning. It's run by a dictator, Lukashenko. It has not been, their men have not been involved, their army. They don't have a very big military. I believe it's 60,000 men. Belarus, they want to add another 20,000. There's been talk about what's going on because remember, Belarus has been like moving troops and equipment and all sorts of things to their border with Ukraine. And we were all trying to figure out, are they planning to attack? Or remember one thing that I've been suggesting all along, the more trouble you cause around Belarus or the more concern you cause, the more you force Ukraine to keep some troops here just in case they come across the border, right? Well, what happens? If most of the fighting is going on here in Severo, Donetsk, secondarily here at Kharkiv, tertiarily here at Zaporizhia, and what would that be? Quaternarily, maybe? I'm not sure. Fourth, here in Kherson, okay? But you've got all the fighting happening around here, and you've got to now move a couple thousand troops all the way over here just in case. If war doesn't break out with Belarus, those several thousand troops are wasted. And Russia wants them to be wasted. Russia wants those troops to be moved away so they're not fighting Russia all the way over here. So I still think everything we're seeing with Belarus is still just a bluff, but it's a bluff that requires Ukraine to take it seriously and move its troops to the border. Okay. Now, I will say what had happened, listen to this. 6 Russian bombers launched 12 missiles from Belarusian territory targeting Kyiv, Chernihiv, and Sumy oblasts overnight, June 25th. Hang on a second. Defense intelligence says it's the first case of an airstrike on Ukraine conducted directly from the territory of Belarus, adding that it's also Russia's provocation to draw Belarus into its war against Ukraine. My suspicion is, and they didn't explain that well, my suspicion is they are firing from Belarusian territory, and therefore the Ukrainians fire some missiles into Belarus to try to hit the airbase, for example, or they send some troops in to go and bomb the airbase, right? That's my guess as to what's going on. And then Belarus says, Ukraine attacked us. It's war, right? That's my guess as to what's going on. And it could. I mean, if the Ukrainians blew up an airbase in Belarus, Belarus may have no choice but to declare war. It's not like Belarus has a lot of men or anything to do this with, but it still is another front, and another front is a pain in the ass for the Ukrainians. They don't need to be wasting men over by Belarus. So, my suspicion is that Belarus is that the Ukrainians are going to sit on their butt, which is a wise thing to do. Hang on a second here, which is a very wise thing to do. And then hopefully it doesn't cause any additional problems. One moment. I need to check. Oh, okay. We just have. That's funny. We apparently have a Russian troll in Russian here, and Putin sucks responds in Russian. How is your 3-day operation going, comrade? Thank you, Putin sucks. That was pretty good. Now let me get rid of the everyone's, and people are now sending in pictures of tractors too. I'm almost tempted to leave him on since everyone's totally trolling this guy. What did he actually write? Okay, that kind of makes me laugh. Yeah, I don't mind leaving the trolls a little bit when they're totally getting destroyed. That was pretty good. That was a pretty good. Actually, that's yet another. I got to start writing t-shirt ideas down. Hold on, guys. But how's your 3-day operation going? Oh God, you make me laugh. You make me laugh. All right, guys. The rest of the story, this was kind of creepy. Russia shelled a subcritical nuclear reactor in Kharkiv. Uh, Kharkiv, remember, up here, northeast, second largest city in Ukraine, 1.5 million people. The Russians shelled a subcritical nuclear reactor. I am not sure what a subcritical nuclear reactor is. If anybody knows, join in, please. The shelling also damaged the building of the Kharkiv Institute of Physics and Technology, where the neutron source subcritical nuclear reactor is based. According to the inspectorate, continued bombing and shelling of the site could lead to severe radiation effects and contamination of the surrounding areas. Thank you, Putin sucks, for that, and Inspired Woman for the crown. My suspicion is, regardless of what that means exactly, it means if you blow up a nuclear plant of any kind, you've got it with radiation concerns. CNN reports that this one bugged me a little bit. Actually, listen to this. CNN report that all of the pledged U.S. multiple, they called it multiple rocket launchers, multiple launch rocket systems will be in Ukraine by mid-July. These were the new systems that can go like 43 miles or 70 kilometers, and Ukraine was really wanting them. They're huge game changers in the artillery war that they're having, right, with the Russians. And the U.S. is now saying that all of the launchers we've promised will be in Ukraine by mid-July. What is the grand total of those launchers? 8. We sent 4 already. We're sending another 4. That's all of them. How many launchers does Ukraine say it needs? 200 to 300. The Brits provided 3 or 4 launchers. The Germans claim they're going to provide, I think, 3, but it's the Germans. Let's wait until they show up. So, and I got to say this too, because people got really pissed at me on Twitter. The Twitter Democrats are a nasty crowd. I mean, I know and work with these people, but they're a nasty crowd. They got all over my ass when I said, "What do you mean we're only sending 4?" And they all said to me, "We're sending a lot more than 4. We're just sending 4 for them to test on. There's a lot more coming." Well, the lot more coming was 4 more. Okay. And again, maybe they've got a good reason. Thank you, Putin sucks, for the hat. Maybe there's a good reason. Maybe we don't have that many to send. I don't know. But the fact that the administration isn't making clear that very point, they're not saying we can only send this money because we only have a stock of this money. It takes this long to make them, blah, 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 blah. They're saying nothing about how many are coming. And that, to me, again, my political brain working in Washington on national policy since 1989 in this town tells me they're up to something. Sorry, my nose is itching today. Thank you for the goggles and the fire. Rubicon and Canada Zens. It tells me they're up to something. It's honestly, I don't have kids, but I swear to God, if I had kids, I have a dog. I have a dog. Like, when they're not telling you what's going on, they're up to something. At my mom's house, I'd always say, "Where's Sasha?" "Don't worry." Like, "Mom, we're having dinner. We're all together. She's not with us. She's doing something." "What do you mean?" My dog, first of all, my dog follows me everywhere like a leech. What happens? I go in the other room. She stole something out of the garbage and she was eating it. I'm like, it's kind of the same thing here. When they're not giving us details as to what actually is going on with how many weapon systems are being sent, how many are going to be sent, and why, I realize there might be security reasons you don't want Putin to know, but it feels to me like, once again, we want Ukraine to tie and we don't want Ukraine to win. Just my take. Let me continue. This was a good story. The Ukrainians collected $20 million in 3 days to buy 4 more Bayraktar drones, the Turkish drones for the army, and they have enough money to buy 1 more. The fundraiser was done by Serhiy Pritula, a comedian turned politician who initiated the Bayraktar donation campaign and runs a charity that helps the Ukraine army. I will say, thank you, Crusher, for that. I will say, I was reading something a week ago about the Russians getting much better at their air defenses. And basically, excuse me, some of it is blocking systems, so jammers, and I'm not sure if some of it was surface to air missiles, excuse me, as well. But I know a lot of it was the jamming, and it was saying that in certain regions it was making the Bayraktar like not you couldn't use it in parts that when it was really useful before it wasn't as useful now. So I don't know. I'd be curious to see what the analysis is on that now. Maybe if I remember, I'll pepper some of the guys on TikTok that I follow because that's what I had read. Canada, here's some good news. Canada is allowing the confiscation of Russian assets and their use for reconstruction of Ukraine. A Canadian law that came into effect on June 23rd, so that's just 2 days ago, allows the confiscation of assets subject to sanctions due to Russia's war and their subsequent use to support Ukraine. Canada has blocked assets worth $328 million due to the sanctions. That's pretty cool. Now, the U.S. has been less thrilled about doing that because, understandably, to a degree, I guess I'll say, understandably, there's been concerns, there have been civil liberty concerns of we don't want to give our government the power to seize assets and just give them away without due process, meaning without giving people the ability to go to court and argue their case. So I'd be curious how the Canadians got around that, or what the deal, or whether our guys are giving a BS excuse. But that's where things are. Yep. Hang on. I'm going to take a little more. One moment. As I said, I got some pills to hopefully help me with my. La, la, la. This is a test case. Not using the inhaler and seeing if the pills help my chest. Oh, thank you, Angela, or Angel. Sorry. You can donate to me by going to, in my TikTok profile. You're going to see a URL that says Beacons, the link that says Beacons. Click that, and it'll take you to a page with a lot of different options. And one of them is PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, etc. Just go to that page and you can donate there. And I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. That's sweet of you for asking. Thank you. And for the rest of you, I don't know. I think Syndicate or somebody, I mean, I can put the link, but it's not copyable. Syndicate or somebody has the link. I mean, this is the link. Hang on. That's the link. It's just not copyable. If Syndicate or somebody else actually has a version they can put up. Almost done with the Ukraine stuff, and then we'll do Roe. Yeah, a little heavy on the news. So Canada, and then, this was kind of cool too. So you might remember that the Eurovision Song Contest folks, thank you, Melanie, and you remember that the Eurovision folks had said that they were not going to send the contest next year to Ukraine because they were afraid of safety, and they were looking at doing it to England instead, to the UK. DLB, you're back. Привет. Good to see you from Ukraine. Give a little love to DLP on TikTok. Well, Boris Johnson weighed in, the British Prime Minister, and said, listen to this. Boris Johnson said he believed Ukraine should host it. Even though the competition is supposed to come to the UK, Boris Johnson said he still thinks it should go to Ukraine instead. They're going to put a statue up to this man in Ukraine. I mean, it really is interesting. Even I'm not convinced that it's totally safe for Eurovision to have the contest next year, because who knows what's happening next year, but that's pretty out there of Johnson. So somebody just weighed in. Tilraith ran, I'm going to say, a subcritical nuclear reactor is a device where the nuclear fission chain reaction is initiated. ... Don't leave us hanging. Don't leave us hanging. All right, hold on. Did they actually, Yulia? Yulia says they've already named streets after Boris Johnson. That is hilarious. I love it. Yeah, he deserves it. I mean, again, no matter what the reason he's doing it, he's doing a great job with Ukraine. He's the he's the Maggie Thatcher, Ronald Reagan I wish we had, and I say that in terms of oomphiness, in terms of persona. Even though I wouldn't vote for either of them, but oh hey Fort Lauderdale, Pilot Pete, good to see you. Anyway, wow, that's wild. Bojo Avenue. That's really funny. Go Boris. Wow, that's funny. All right, so Roe v. Wade. I do have several Roe v. Wade stories. Let's talk about them, folks. Hope you don't mind. But as I said, we were going to do both today. I warned you coming in. This has been a big story in the U.S., and I suspect it's a story that interests you guys internationally. So forgive me, but let's talk about it a little. I wanted to give you more background. One thing that I learned yesterday and had forgotten, we had Gloria Felt on, who was the former president and CEO of Planned Parenthood of America, the national Planned Parenthood, the big one here in the US. And Gloria said there actually is a way that this can be fixed. Congress can pass a law. Congress can pass a law that, as we say in the law, codifies Roe v. Wade. In other words, puts Roe v. Wade into law. And the same thing Roe v. Wade said about first trimester, second trimester, third trimester, the different rules, right? Congress could just make a law that says the same thing. In the first trimester, this is allowed. In the second trimester, this is in the third trimester. I don't even know the exact breakdown, but you know what I mean. In the third trimester, it's only life of the mother or whatever the hell it is. And that makes it the law of the land. States cannot overrule federal laws. The federal law trumps the state law in that thing. Now, what do you need for that? You need a majority in the Senate, a majority in the House, and a president who will sign it. President Biden, I'm assuming, will sign it. The current majority in the House probably would do it. In the Senate, forget it, because we've got the filibuster. And the filibuster means the Republicans are going to say no way, and even a few Democrats might, right? Like Manchin, the idiot, is probably going to do the same thing. So if Democrats were to get enough seats, first of all, Democrats need to hold the House and hopefully get a few more seats so you don't get conservative Democrats voting no. And they need to get several more seats in the Senate. Actually, Democrats might need 10 more seats in the Senate because they're not wanting to get rid of the filibuster. If they don't get rid of the filibuster, they're going to need 60 votes out of 100 in the Senate to get this. And currently, Democrats have 50 votes, and getting 10 seats is not currently in the plans, but this could change everything. So that is one big way this could be fixed, is enough Democrats being elected to Congress. That's the first thing. Polling. These are just multiple points I gleaned from the news that I thought were important that you guys might not totally be up on. Across the country, the majority of Americans believe that abortion should be legal in most or all cases, according to a poll, and I have the pollster and I'm forgetting who it is. The current margin in favor of legalized abortion is 58% versus 38% opposed. So it's a 20% difference, 20-point difference. That's pretty huge, with 4% of Americans saying they're unsure. And these figures have held steady over the life of the poll. These are not new figures. For years and years and years, Americans have been a pro-choice country. They have been in favor of Roe v. Wade. But as happens in America, we seem to be really good at having a minority take control of the majority. Trigger laws. So trigger laws I've talked about yesterday. We talked about it on the show, but I'll fill you guys in again because some folks had questions. In a number of states that want to ban abortion, when Roe v. Wade was the law, Roe v. Wade said you can't ban abortion. So what the states did is they passed a law that said if Roe v. Wade is overturned, then the following provision will go into law. And the following provision said ban abortion, more or less. It could have said ban it after 6 weeks, ban it completely, whatever. Those are trigger laws. And the trigger states are the states that had those laws on the books. Now, in 10 of the 26 states that have already banned abortion or are most likely to do so. We have 26 of the 50 American states that either have banned abortion already or are just about to under using these trigger laws. In 10 of the 26, listen to this. More voters favor abortion rights than oppose them, according to a tracking poll by civics.com that has surveyed nearly 250,000 registered voters since 2016. So in 10 of the 26 states, the people are actually pro-choice and favor abortion, but they're banning it anyway. Voters in Iowa, South Carolina, and Texas favor abortion rights by a small margin. See, I'm surprised, Texas especially, I would have never thought that. Texas, they favor abortion, and voters in Georgia, Ohio, Montana, Arizona, Florida, Michigan, and Wisconsin by a more significant margin. Again, Arizona, Florida, Georgia, that stuff surprises me. But this is one of the problems we've always had in this country. Again, thank you, Tyson, for that. Is again the way our system is set up. There is a tyranny of the minority, and it happens for presidential elections, as we've seen. Democrats won 2 of the last presidential elections in the last 20 years. We got the majority of the votes by millions, and we lost the presidency. In the Senate, most of the population is in Democratic states, but the Republicans are able to control things to something like the 50% of Republicans in the Senate. 50% of the Senate are Republicans, and they control something like 18% of the population. I mean, it's crazy, but they put their will on the land. For women, this was an interesting point. For women in Mississippi, Illinois may become the closest state in which they can get an abortion. For Americans, you know how far that is. That's a distance of 900 miles from Gulfport in Mississippi. So the southern part of Mississippi to Chicago is 900 miles. Now, you could say you can fly. That's assuming you have money to fly. This is Mississippi. It's one of the poorest, if not the poorest state in America. A lot of these women getting abortions do not have money to fly. They don't have money to drive to Illinois because what are they going to do? Sleep in their car? They don't have money to stay in a hotel. They also probably can't afford to take off their job. So if they're driving to Illinois, it could be a 10, 12-hour drive to Illinois. Well, it could be farther than a 10 or 12-mile drive. If you're in the middle of the state, it could be, a day and a half drive. You're going to take off work to do it if you're a blue-collar worker? I mean, this is not going to be easy for people. Other issues that they're worried about, I was reading about this morning. Abortion pills. About half of legal abortions in the U.S. occur by medication. I did not know that. Texas and Louisiana have already made it a crime to mail abortion pills in from other states. Did not know that. States that ban abortion could also punish medical providers in other states. Listen to this. States that ban abortion could punish medical providers in other states where abortion's legal who perform abortion for women who live in states where abortion is illegal. So in other words, a woman who's from a state where it's illegal goes to a state where it's legal, and the original state may pass a law that somehow is able to punish the doctor in the other state. I don't know how the hell, my guess, I don't know how the hell they do it, but somehow they're able to go after them. And the final point was, and we raised this yesterday, but it's an important point to remember, Clarence Thomas, who's one of the justices, one of the most conservative ones, called, in his opinion, he called for overturning the Supreme Court cases that protect same-sex marriage and that protect the right to purchase contraception. Thank you for that. Who was that? Evolving. Thank you for that. There is still a debate in this country over, that is still me. Too new, whoever you are. Glad I still look so good. You're very sweet. There are still efforts in this country. People, thank you, Vaughn. people like Clarence Thomas, who's a Supreme Court justice, who want to make it legal to ban the purchase of contraception, of contraceptives, not just Plan B, not just abortion pills, but contraceptives. Anyway, I don't think my map makes a difference. I sort of had a map here of likely to ban and everything else, but I don't know that it makes, well, you know what? I'll hold it up briefly. You can look at it because I don't want to really read it, but it may, hold on, I'll try to hold it. Oh, actually, I'll move Tyson's sticker out of the way. I was trying to get around her sticker that wasn't there. Gives you a sense. So the darkest color is banned. The next one will be banned within a month. The lighter one likely. You see it. Let me show you guys now, just because, as I said, I think it's an interesting. Oops, there we go. Just a minute, guys. I can show this to the folks on TikTok. But I mean, it gives you a sense of what the reach is for this and how quickly, take it down, how quickly this stuff is going. It's crazy. It's just crazy. All right, Elise. Now, one thing, let me show you two things really quick. Okay, guys? Because before we get into the questions, I had two videos. Since I now learned how to put videos on the screen on TikTok, let me see. I am going to show a video that I thought was just so on point. Effects. Hang on. Boom. Oop. Let me see. Just give me a second here, guys. I'm trying to figure it out, but I think I can do it. Oop. Okay, that's pictures. Let me get video. I don't want a video on my hand. I just want video. Hold on. They're being a pain in the ass here. Oh, TikTok. Why are you a pain in the ass? I just want to show video. I just want to show a freaking video. Is that video? That's stars. These are pictures, but not video. Sorry, guys. One sec. Earlier, it let me show video. That's my head. What are they doing? I'm hating TikTok for a moment right now. Earlier, it was letting me show video, and now background. Well, I may just have to not show video on TikTok. I thought I was able to show you guys video here. I know I can show a picture. Sorry, guys. I know I can show you guys. I know I can show it. Yeah, with green screen. Why would they not want the green screen to be video? How weird. Yeah, it's just pictures. Well, that doesn't really help. All right, well, then I'm going to show it to you guys. And at the same time, I'm going to hold it up for you guys. All right. Let me, I'm going to mute my mic. I'm going to mute my mic for you guys. And when the video starts, let me know in the comments that you can hear it. It's this young Australian who is just amazing at this stuff. Absolutely amazing. All right. Oops. 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 All right, Emerson. All right. Okay. Start this one. Let me know.
Sperm and wanna force all pregnant women to carry to term, but their actions point to something that you wouldn't expect, that they think kids only matter when they're not born yet. They'll make sure family leave and childcare funding fails, take away their parents at the border and jail kids, beg for climate action under crippling debt, while you show them they only matter when they're not born yet. If abortion was the issue, contraception would reduce it. Oh, but wouldn't you know, certain people made it difficult for everyone to use it. Whoa. Publicly shame them if they can't afford lunch. Refuse to keep schools safe from COVID or guns. For once I wish their actions would disprove what I've said, that they think kids only matter when they're not born yet.
I love this guy. He's so freaking good. I mean, and all of his videos are that catchy, and they're all political in some way, and he's really good. The other thing I wanted to show you really quick, and then I'll do your question, was Emerson Brophy is his name. You can find him on TikTok. That should be his TikTok handle, Emerson, Emerson, Brophy, Brophy, and he's wonderful. You'll know when you find him. All of his videos are great. I mean, they're all great. He's amazing. Yeah. And I'm actually he's on TikTok, but I don't know if he posts his videos there or not. You really, I mean, TikTok, Twitter, but his videos are there. The other thing really quick, and then I'll do questions. I wanted to show really quick the since I can't do video, I'll show you guys. These are the oops, get rid of beacons. Hold on. So this is the car, I'll show you guys in a minute, that we bought for the Kharkiv Mir for the food group in Kharkiv. And this is it filled up with food. Those are all bags of food that they've got filled up, about to be delivered to people. And they just wanted us to see that basically they are using the car we bought them, but also how efficient they are. And those are all individual bags going to people. But I just thought that was kind of a nice thing. Oh, and keep in mind, because they didn't have gasoline for these couple of weeks, you guys literally bought their gasoline. So that car is going on gas that you bought. Let me show you all really quick as well. Oops, sorry. Start the. Yeah, just to give you a sense, but I thought it was nice. And it was just nice to see them in use, and also just how much they packed it, because you can tell these are serious people, which was nice. I find the I'd be curious. I see Yulia's here today. I'd be curious for her just to weigh in on the comments. I feel like Ukrainians have got this mix of really hilarious and really serious. It's just a gut I've got from dealing with them in a work setting. There's just a very seriousness, but also very funny. I mean, obviously, as we can see, the sense of humor is off the charts. It's just very interesting. Elise, doesn't it seem completely unconstitutional for one state to prosecute a state-controlled activity in another state? This seems insane. It does. I mean, it does. I don't see, I mean, it's not like you own, I don't see how they can get away with it. Thank you, Smiling, for that. I don't see how they can get away with it. I'm trying to think of like other examples, right? Like state, I mean, state requirements for vaccines for schools, but you send your kid out of state for school. So do you have to follow, you don't have to follow the rules for Florida if you go to Louisiana. I mean, I can't think of any example of something. Marijuana, it's legal in one state and not another. Are they going to find you guilty of smoking marijuana under Florida law if you did it in Colorado? I mean, I just don't know the legal. God, I wish Marion were here today. Maybe she would know, like, what's the legal issue, or any of the other lawyers, kind of how that. First of all, you'd get interstate commerce questions coming into place. Jurisdiction is a place, not a person. Okay, but tell us more, Elise. Well, you could have personal jurisdiction too, though. What do you mean? What do you mean it's a place? Not a person. What do you mean? Well, in this case, you don't have either. You've got a doctor. Let's say it's Chicago. You've got a doctor in Chicago and a woman in Chicago getting an abortion, practicing an abortion, and you're from Mississippi. They don't have jurisdiction over the person or the place, right? I don't get it. I don't get what, unless, well, it goes to the Supreme Court, and then whether the Supreme Court strikes it down. That would be my fear, right? Well, I mean, they aren't, Kelly. The only thing is, I worry about with this crazy Supreme Court that they accept some of this stuff, you know? Hablé sobre Severo Donetsk antes, pero voy a hablar también cuando termino. Voy a hacer un recap al final. Yeah, time in US 1850. Exactly. Let me see here. Indict the doctor in absentia, then demand the state therein extradite them. Weird, but maybe plausible. But what's the jurisdiction, David? I mean, how do you have jurisdiction over them? Right? That's the thing I don't understand. You don't have personal jurisdiction over any of them. The doctor's not in your state. Now, I mean, the only thing is if the doctor were licensed in your state as well as the surrounding state, maybe they could get you on that. Maybe. My Spanish is a little rusty today. I do speak Spanish well, but it's rusty today because I'm thinking in English and working on topics that I haven't briefed myself in advance, some of the key words. Just looking here to see about more of the lawyers. Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, extradition. And again, Illinois is not going to, hopefully Illinois courts aren't going to extradite you, but who knows? How can it be a crime for a doctor to do something that is legal where they're sitting? That's my question. Right. Telemedicine into a state with restrictions. That's interesting. First of all, how do you even do telemedicine into another state unless you are authorized? What's the word? You know what I mean? Unless you're licensed to do telemedicine in that state. I can't imagine. I mean, right? They can't do telemedicine. I don't think they can. Can they do telemedicine across state lines without being licensed in that state? I can't imagine. The mother could be prosecuted. Oh, no, the mother could be prosecuted. That we know. Oh, I see what you mean. Abandoning her baby. Well, they're calling it murder. She committed murder. Now, okay, here's a question. The mother committed murder in another state. But again, how does your state prosecute that if the murder didn't happen in your state? Can they? I mean, that's just weird. Actually, the Texas law did this. Remember, the Texas law didn't just say, remember the Texas law was empowering every crazy to go after women and their doctors and their Uber drivers and everything else, and even people who gave them advice or gave them money to get an abortion. The Texas law also supposedly, I thought, empowered anybody in the country to do it, which made no sense to me. Let me rethink this. Did it empower anybody in the country to claim a cause of action, or did it empower Texans to go after any abortion in the country? But even then, how do they have jurisdiction? I mean, again, legally, it's a fascinating question. Yeah, there's no jurisdiction for murder. Cindy, who's a lawyer, could make it a conspiracy charge. Well, here's the thing. I was just going to say, if you got on the phone, okay, you live in Alabama crazy Alabama, and you decide to get an abortion in another state, you're planning on committing murder, but under Alabama law. Anybody you talk to about it is a co-conspirator. Anybody who gives you money is a co-conspirator. Anybody who drives you there is a co-conspirator. If they're, and I don't know how the law works here, but if you commit murder in Illinois, but you drove through Louisiana on the way to do it, and somebody in Louisiana gave you money for the murder, right? And somebody in Louisiana drove you to the murder, can Louisiana go after them, or is it still only Illinois? This was the part of law school that I loved, these sort of fact patterns. I mean, the crime's out of state, but the conspiracy to commit murder did happen in Alabama. It's just that the murder didn't happen in Alabama. Because the reason I'm asking, Roshin, is that it was not legal in your state to commit a conspiracy to murder. I mean, this is a conspiracy to murder. You know what I mean, under their law. Even if you murder somebody in another state. No, you've got to call it murder because that's what Alabama law is going to call it. Alabama law is calling it murder. So what you did in Alabama with the people who gave you the money and the people who drove you to the border was commit a conspiracy to commit murder. I mean, and then under Alabama law, you did commit a murder in another state. Maybe they can't charge you with murder, but the conspiracy happened in Alabama. All right, help me out here, lawyer ladies and men. I don't know. Well, first of all, David, here's a question for you. Can't you prosecute for a conspiracy to commit murder even if there was no murder? What did they prosecute the guys in going after Governor What's-Her-Face for? They had a conspiracy to kill her. They never went through with the conspiracy because they got arrested. I mean, they won in court, but they charged them with conspiracy to commit murder. You don't need to commit a murder for there to be a conspiracy to commit murder, right? I mean, same thing with terrorism. When we stop people before they blow bombs up, we still charge them with terrorism because it was a conspiracy. They didn't actually pull off a terrorist act. This is the kind of stuff one does in law school. And this is also the reason why lawyers are very anal. But I say that lovingly because you're taught to try to analyze things very finely, and how sometimes the public will say, that's not fair or whatever, or that's a crime. And a lawyer will go, well, the problem is these are the elements of the law and it doesn't quite match, which is also why I get into so much trouble on Twitter, because I often read things very finely and it pisses them off. Let me see here. Maybe that becomes the loophole style way and they can prosecute in absentia the doctor and others out of state. What was the... If a service is a service that will fly you to both abortion and trans healthcare, the pilots fly you for free. They will stay overnight in that state, fly you home. Okay. Thank you for that, Joe, by the way. Oh, sorry. Elevated access is a service that will fly you to both abortion and trans healthcare. The pilots fly you for free. They will stay overnight in the state, fly you home. Yeah, yes, you can prosecute the conspiracy even if the murder did not happen. This is a conspiracy to commit murder, according to Alabama. I mean, I'll be very, now, mind you, they're going to try it anyway. They're certainly going to try it anyway. But I'd be curious what the Um, well, this becomes an interesting question. Famous and a Few just asked, if that's the case, how will companies such as JP Morgan pull off paying for their employees' expenses to go to a state that abortion is legal? There were a number of states I read today that came out and said they would provide expenses for their employees to get abortions where it's free. These states are going to try to go after these companies. And then that could be a free speech argument. I mean, this is where you need a Supreme Court that isn't crazy. Because the problem is right now we've got a Supreme Court that's crazy and it's going to make bad law, just like it did with Roe. I mean, it's crazy. Let's see. That would be like saying an Illinois resident could be prosecuted in Missouri if they came across the river, even though they don't live there. If they came across the river to do what? Of course, Illinois residents can be prosecuted in Missouri if they rob somebody. In Missouri, you'd be prosecuted. I'm from Illinois originally. If I go to Missouri and kill someone, I'm prosecuted in Missouri. But not Illinois. That's what we're getting at. But again, what if the criminal conspiracy? Now, the only difference here would be some kind of conflict of law statute that said, for example, if you're prosecuting the case in one state, you can't prosecute the same case in another state. Some kind of thing like that might preclude it. That's kind of what I'm wondering, you know? Thank you, Arifa. Appreciate that. Always appreciate money, even if it's TikTok money. So I'm just pulling up more of the. Again, my friend Marion is so good. She's going to be on later watching this, but Marion's like the queen of crazy law stuff, which used to piss Madeleine Albright off. Because Marion would go, but what about this? Oops, sorry, just scrolling down now. Oh, sorry, Melissa Tim, I missed it. What if you move to the new state? If you move to the new state, well, I mean, knowing those states, what if? Here's my question. You're from Alabama. You moved to Illinois to get an abortion where it's legal. Did you plan the abortion in Alabama before you left? Did someone in Alabama give you money for the abortion? Thank you, Purnell. Did somebody in Alabama counsel you about the abortion? Right? So they still may try to get you on this, as I call it, conspiracy to commit murder, because you were, well, it doesn't even matter if you were a resident. You were in Alabama, subject to Alabama laws, and you were plotting a murder. That would be my argument, unless you literally said, I need this abortion. I'm just moving. Maybe, as long as you don't plan it with anybody and get money from anybody while you're there. And I mean, I don't know. Just looking here. Right, room and board, interesting. I mean, and a lot of the states are trying to help. California and Oregon and Washington will provide room and board and pay for the procedure, which is great. A state can refuse to extradite, but they might have to have a legal reason for doing it. You know what I mean? They can't just do it because they think Alabamians are icky and backwards. I don't know. Okay. Well, we haven't resolved this. You can remove judges potentially. Yeah. Yes, you can remove judges. Even if they're life appointments, there must be a way to remove them for cause. If they murder somebody, you can remove them, but whether it's impeaching them or something else. Wow. So that was kind of depressing and wow. Now we need Emerson Brophy song again to like perk us up. I don't know, guys. What else? What else? What else? Happy to talk more about this, Ukraine, or anything else. It's already 5 after, so we've got a few more moments, a few more minutes. Well, except not so easy to remove a sitting president, as we found out either, you know. Well, the Supreme Court stuff is funny. I mean, the Supreme Court stuff is funny. I don't know if it was New York Times or who this morning that published a bunch of the statements. Excuse me. I'm going to be taking a nap after this since Doggy had me up all night and then peed all over my blankets at 4 a.m. That was exciting. But what was I going to say? You guys got me thinking about this. Oh, they were, what were they? I was thinking of something I saw or were talking about in the paper this morning. Shoot, I'm forgetting now. I've got to take one. Yeah, I'm tired. Especially, like I said, it just kind of didn't help with her being sick and everything. Putin and Lukashenko, what news about them? Are they getting married? See which is about that. Somebody said, how do I stay so positive? I mean, working on these issues for so many years has been a weird mix of knowing you can win. Like, I've worked on really big stuff in politics. I mean, I've witnessed it firsthand. Like I said, I've pissed off a couple presidents that I know. I know I pissed off George Bush. I know I pissed off Barack Obama. I know I got, Bill Gates to bend on an issue, and like Bill Gates personally to bend on a gay rights issue years ago that he was bad on, Microsoft was bad on. So like my experience has been going after big people and making them bend and do the right thing, making them cave. So I've always had a belief in politics, not always, but very often have a belief in politics of like, oh no, we can do this. Like the gun issue. We can absolutely win the gun issue. It's my spidey sense in my gut. It is ridiculous. We have not been able to do better on the gun issue. Little kids getting shot dead every couple of weeks is an issue you can win like that. But frankly, liberals suck at politics. So that's why we don't win the issue. But that's what keeps me positive, is that I know the negative stuff is hard because you work on it so long that you risk getting burned out, and you burn out on. For me, it's funny. It's not burning out on the issues. It's burning out on the losers on our side. I'm just tired of Democrats not knowing how to message. I'm tired of Democrats letting Republicans just get away with things and lies. I mean, like I said, those hearings should have had Adam Kinzinger speaking every freaking day. Those hearings should not have had 2 Democrats and 1 Republican speaking. That is not how you do a hearing. Thank you, Baby Shoe. Every single hearing in Congress has 2 equal numbers of Democrats and Republicans speaking on the dais. Up there. All the time. That's how you run hearings. This hearing that is so important that it needs to seem totally independent, they have 2 Democrats and 1 Republican each time. Like, what is up with you people? And I'm tired. I'm just tired of it at this point. They're never going to learn. They're never going to get good at this. And that's what makes me depressed and that's what starts to eat away at some of my positivity. But I know we can win things, and that keeps me going. It's hard. I'm not sure how we're going to win this one, although this one, honestly, we need to win the election in the fall. And it worries me a little bit because, I mean, obviously it worries me a lot a bit, but what worries me to a degree is we suck at messaging so bad that we can't even convince voters that an insurrection is really bad. And that maybe you shouldn't vote the party back in that had the insurrection, right? We can't even convince them of that. And if we can't convince them of that, how are we going to convince them that Roe v. Wade is also something where you've got to change your vote now? You can't vote for Republicans, you've got to vote for Democrats now. I mean, we couldn't convince them on literally a violent attempt to overthrow our government, sedition, literally a coup d'etat. We couldn't convince the voters that was bad. Like, I mean, the number of Republicans I talked to that are like, "Oh, it wasn't that big a deal." Yeah, if you live in Moscow, I mean, if you think Orban is a good leader, I mean, it's a huge freaking deal. It's a huge freaking deal. Um. Anyway, I ramble. Oh, I can't wait to take a nap after this. Um. That spam is bizarre. The thing is, the spam is so weird that I just don't quite understand what it thinks it's going to get. But I guess maybe there's one born every minute. Um, what else? I think that's true. Trump not good says lots of voters hate liberals, so they're willing to ditch democracy. I think that's absolutely true. I mean, I've said something similar to some of the folks that have come into our chats and everything, where I'm like, you know, you you you're wrong. This is not good, but I'm going to guess that says good evening or good night. Dobrego večera. Um, you know, Joanna had a question up above. Let me see. I always tell folks it's easier if you actually copy the question when you tell me to be sure to check a question. I'm going to try to find it, but sometimes I can't find it when I look back. I'm going to try. Hold on. People are saying it's an interesting question. Hang on, guys. But it makes it a lot easier. Oh, here you go. I see now. Okay. I wondered, how does it work then if a person in Alabama flies to Europe, where I live, to abort their unborn child? Can they and everyone involved be prosecuted then? I mean, it depends on murder stat. I guess, again, this depends on murder statutes, you know? You'd have to find a crime. I mean, it shouldn't be. I mean, murder is what we're talking about because that's what Alabama considers it. But obviously, it becomes a bigger problem because you're in another country. So then there's all sorts of other issues with that. Thank you, WJ and Rainbow. So there's other issues with that. I mean, you also have the issue of just how do you thank you, smiling. How do you prosecute someone for something that is legal where they're located? I just don't know how you do that. I just don't know how you do that. Under what legal theory? That's the thing I don't get. I don't get it. How does that work? Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I'd have to see. I mean, I guess I'd have to see somebody promote the actual legal theory and everything as to how it would work. I don't get it. But the states are talking about it. But we'd have to see. We almost have to see when they try, like how it actually then works. Has there been a case where one American kills another American while in a different country? Where would they be charged? In the States, not that foreign country. Well, what happened with that whole, was it Amanda Knox, her name? Right? Is that the name? What were they trying to extradite her to America? I mean, if the crime happens abroad, weren't they trying to, but how were they extraditing her then if the crime happened abroad? You know what I mean? I'm curious again, what was the underlying legal theory? Yeah, I know. Why don't they just ban women and be done with it? Seriously. She was found guilty, then acquitted. But was there any attempt before she was found guilty to extradite her to America for for her alleged crimes? It was Italy charging. Did America try to extradite or not? Yeah. I mean, for example, extradition, as I think of it, is you did the crime here and you fled, right? And that's why you're in that other country and I want you back, right? Um, Julian Assange, right? You did WikiLeaks. It was a crime. It was a crime with whether they use servers, say there were servers in America, websites in America. You stole American property in America, but whatever it is, they're saying the crime happened in America, and therefore you're hiding abroad. We're going to get you. But I don't think there's usually a crime happened abroad and there's no nexus to America. Now, there'd have to be some nexus, meaning, like we said, like some of the crime you did here or something. And they're trying to claim the nexus is that you're a resident of the state, is what I think they're trying to say. That doesn't make sense. Italy was trying to extradite her back to Italy. The person murdered was from the UK, and I don't think they tried to charge her either. It was all Italy. Yeah, I don't know that they'd have. That's an interesting. Huh. Yeah. Yeah. This is, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, let's wrap it up, guys. I mean, we'll hang for a few minutes, but let's wrap it up. What we're going to need to find out is more detail from somebody on literally what these crazy states are planning on doing. Like literally, what's do they have draft laws they've already written up? You know, I'm going to guess the draft laws don't make a lot of sense. You know? Yeah, no problem, Joanna. Sorry. I just didn't see it. Well, the problem too is as I'm answering a question, then it's like, and the questions fly by. Recap. You are correct. Recap. The famous recap. One moment. Boom, 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 boom. You are very, very correct. And then I go take a nap. Oh boy. Oh, thank you. The Ukrainians have finally abandoned the town of Severo, Donetsk in eastern Ukraine. The move was to save soldiers' lives, move them to better fortified positions, and it was intended, the whole point of them fighting there was intended to hold the Russians in place and keep them fighting there and not anywhere else while waiting for ammunition to arrive and weapons from the West. Overnight, there was an airstrike on Ukraine from Belarus using Russian airplanes. Russian shelling has damaged a nuclear reactor in Kharkiv. CNN says that all of the U.S. multiple launch rocket systems that we promised should be in Ukraine by mid-July. My concern is that that would be a total of 8. Ukraine is asking for 200 to 300. Ukrainians raised $20 million in 3 days to buy 4 Bayraktar drones, and they have enough money to buy 1 more. Canada has passed a law allowing for the confiscation of Russian assets and their use for reconstruction of Ukraine. Pretty cool. Boris Johnson says, yeah, I know Eurovision. You didn't want to do it in Ukraine because you thought it wasn't safe, and you want to do it in the UK instead. I'm telling you, you should be doing it in Ukraine instead of my own country. That was pretty ballsy. Number 4, we switched to Roe v. Wade, I think. Yes. Roe v. Wade. The overturning of Roe can be solved by Congress. They can pass a law codifying Roe, but we need a significant majority in the U.S. Senate, especially in the U.S. House, because of the filibuster. Polls across the country show that a majority of Americans believe abortion should be legal in most or all cases. In 10 of 26 states that already have banned abortion or are more likely to do so in the wake of the Supreme Court decision, polls show that most voters favor abortion rights, which is interesting. More. Oops, hang on. Mixed up my pages here. For women in Mississippi, Illinois may become the closest state in which they can get an abortion. For some women, that could be 900 miles. Abortion pills provide about half of all legal abortions in the U.S. Texas and Louisiana have made it a crime to mail those pills to their state, and other states could do this. States that ban abortion could also punish medical providers in other states who perform abortions for women who live in the states where the abortion is illegal. And Clarence Thomas said in his concurring opinion in the decision overturning Roe that he wants to see the court cases that protect same-sex marriage and contraception also overturned, which should be really lovely. Thomas, Natalie, no, that's a funny question. Natalie says, can Clarence Thomas be charged for January 6th if linked to his wife? I mean, sure. You just have to be able to find a crime. Being a Supreme Court justice does not get him off for being charged with a crime. I'm pretty sure. The only question there I would have would be whether the law says impeachment is the only way, just like the same BS we have with the president, but my suspicion is, hold on, let's Google that. That's a really interesting question. Can you charge a Supreme Court justice with a crime? While justices can be accused, tried, and even found guilty of a crime, they won't lose their seat because of any sentence. The only way a justice can be removed is by impeachment and subsequent conviction. So they can be tried and found guilty. This is ridiculous. They can be tried and found guilty of murder. They could be tried and found guilty of terrorism, and they would still remain a justice unless they were impeached by the House and the Senate. So if Thomas were tied to his wife in a way that they find him guilty of a crime, you still would need a Republican. You would still need Republicans in the Senate to come along with you to get rid of him. That's how ridiculous our system is. It is geared towards the little guy. It's not geared towards the little guy at all. The irony is, in civil rights, it's not geared to the little guy, but in everything else, a small percentage of our population tells the rest of us what to do. That's just crazy. Yeah, he would rule from jail. That's exactly what he would do. He'd rule from jail. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, that really is crazy. That's really crazy. I mean, if you're convicted of a crime, of a felony, say, it should be a serious crime, it should be a felony at least, then you should be out of there. That's just, yeah, that's insane. Ooh la la. And Alyssa, thank you for the super sticker. All right, guys, I'm going to call it quits, I think, because I am getting really tired from those pills I took to try to help my asthma. And they did help the asthma, but now they've made me like, and Sasha is not moving, so I would rather not pick her up since, like I said, she hadn't been feeling well. Today, she's definitely feeling better, but there's better and there's better. I think I told you, didn't I? She vomited all over my carpet yesterday. There's like the one nice carpet in my whole apartment. It's like 8 feet by 10 feet. It's by the TV. It's the only carpet. I mean, there's like a little one by my door, but it's the only carpet. When I went out, Sasha chose the big, nice carpet that you all liked that my sister got me. That's the one she vomited on. And she didn't just vomit. She vomited. she vomited. She vomited. And then I don't know how she pulled this one off, but there was like a 6-foot trail of vomit between two of the vomits. A little 10-pound dog. And of course, all of it on the carpeting. All of it on the carpeting. I was like, oh my God. The only saving grace is she also had diarrhea and she went into the litter box and did the diarrhea. And I was like, thank mother of God, my dog did that. But yes, so this morning, well, and then as I said, then woke me up at 4 a.m. because she peed so hard in my bed that there was a 3-foot circle of pee in my bed. She has never peed like that in her life, but I think it's because I was trying to give her water to rehydrate her, and boy, she must have rehydrated. So then at 4 a.m., I'm changing all of the sheets on my bed. I'm exhausted. Oh God, the poor thing. She gets irritable. I would call it irritable bowel. She gets a irritated intestine that hits like twice a year. And as long as it doesn't get worse than this, it's treatable with, boiled chicken, boiled rice. We mentioned the pumpkin from the store. I buy some probiotics that are very good. I've got the dry version that I can mix with her food because she hates it, and the gooey version that I can give her at night, just putting it on her lips. But it's a probiotic that has kaopectate in it, and it's the original kaopectate, and it actually helps soothe the insides. And you know what I did after I got off with you guys yesterday? I finally gave her a piece of Imodium, because my vet had already told me a long time ago, because of her size, she can have zero 0.5 milligrams, which is the low dose. So I gave her that because you want to be careful. I'm not giving you advice here because you've really got to be careful with this stuff. Like if the dog had Giardia, you don't want the diarrhea staying there. But I'm suspecting it's the usual irritation problem. And actually last night in bed, other than the peeing, she didn't move that much. But the previous night she was moving back and forth, and even worse, she'd be sleeping with me and she'd jump out and she'd jump up and then jump off of the bed. And to me, that means either you've got to go to the bathroom or she would go under the bed, which meant to me she had pain. So she was getting pain. So anyway, well, all I know is it's not a bladder thing. No. They thought it was duodenitis the first time it hit. And, it doesn't hit. But again, I'd say once or twice a year, she gets it. It usually takes 2 to 3 weeks for it to fully build up, fully clear up. I mean, maybe she does have a gluten sensitivity. I don't know. But it's like it takes 2 or 3 weeks. And then suddenly, but she doesn't have pain like a kidney stone. I don't know if dogs, when they have kidney stones, if they have pain. That I don't know, but because she never has pain. But who knows? It could be. Anyway, I've got a vet appointment for Monday just in case with the vet I like. They told me there's no cancellation fee, so I said, perfect, let's do it. Oh, mashed banana. I've got some bananas. I didn't know. Let me just double that. Mashed banana. I always like to check just cause. No offense. I always tell people as well, for dogs, pet owner, you might have wondered, can dogs eat bananas? Yes. And this is from the American Kennel Club, so we like that. Bananas are high. In fact, some veterinarians recommend this fruit as a healthy alternative. The fruit is also high in fiber, which can help your dog if they're having gastro problems, and magnesium, which can promote bone growth. Like any food, moderation because it contains a lot of sugar. Correct. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. That would be my only fear, would be the sweet. Well, and she loves carrots anyway, but boiled carrots. Dog diarrhea. Let me try that. Bananas have a high fiber content. Well, this is pumpkin care. I don't want to trust them. Let me find a pet kind of place. Actually, let's see what Purina has, since we all can learn together. Yes, bananas are good for dogs in small quantities. This is Purina. Unlike other fruits, which may have toxic components, every part of a banana is safe for your dog to eat for the most part. That's not to say there's no risks. Um, Peeled bananas are best for dogs. Banana peels, eating an unpeeled banana, we don't want to do that. Um, the servings are small. The beneficial nutrients may not make a difference. Potassium is the main ingredient with bananas are associated. Your dog should be consuming a complete diet. When are they bad for dogs? If they eat too much of them, right? Some people think bananas will improve the symptoms of digestive upset like diarrhea, but that's not always the case. Instead of feeding your dog more bananas, watch his food intake and reduce the amount to see what he tolerates. Okay. That's the Purina's iffy. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, um, a dog that a couple times a year gets diarrhea and sometimes vomiting, not always, but sometimes vomiting. When she gets the vomiting, even the diarrhea, she'll get picky about her food and she won't want to, she'll get picky about her food. Sometimes she'll eat it a few hours later. If I switch to boiled chicken breast and boiled rice, usually she's better. This time she skipped it for like 5-6 hours. She wouldn't eat, and then finally she wanted some of the rice and stuff. But this is it. She gets some kind of a gastro thing, and it gets better. She was like perfect the other day, and then the next day, pure diarrhea and vomited everywhere. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And now we're back on a day where I'm going slow with the food, and she seems to. I mean, she wants more, but I'm going slow, giving her rice water, giving her a little bit of her chicken and rice, and I ended up getting the canned diet from Royal Canin from the vet, from some of the gastro diet there, just to give a little to calm it down a little. I also have the propectolin, which is the probiotic that has kaopectate. I give her, and I even gave a touch of Imodium just because after yesterday's bout, I was a little worried. So that is what's going on with Sasha. Oops. Sorry, go back to StreamYard. Oh, they're back. Nathan, what is it? You're attracting all the crazy trolls today. um, I do have cottage cheese. Not morning sickness, no. That would be a medical miracle. Um, yeah, I mean, there was really no choice but to change her food. You know what I mean? When she has this, I go on rice because I do not leave her on her regular hard food when she has diarrhea. You can't. And there was blood in the diarrhea, but it was red. I mean, like it's always the same thing, you know. Um, I could certainly do a vegetable broth with rice. I do rice. I do rice water that she adores. Um, I've got low sodium. Giardia is a question. I've got low sodium um, uh, bouillon from Better Than Bouillon, but I still worry because what is low sodium to a dog? You know what I mean? So I'm careful about that. Honestly, she loves rice water. I boil the rice for 30 minutes in the water and she loves it. So the only reason for vegetable broth would be if it somehow gives her more the ulcer thing is unlikely because the blood is red. Ulcers, as I recall, things that are higher up in the intestinal tract will be black when they get to the bottom. If they're red, it's inflammation in, I'm going to say, the large intestine or whatever it is. So, you know, yeah, that's what I do. It's the same food, but rice and chicken if she has problems. That's exactly it. Yep. Well, yesterday she did get a fast because when she threw up at like noon, I was like, that's it. And I left out her water. I left out rice water too. She drank water several times. She then peed all the water in my bed, which means she clearly drank more water than I thought she drank, but that's good. And I didn't feed her till this morning. Hey, Nick. And I gave her like half of the rice and chicken I would normally give her. This morning I gave her, and it had the probiotic, etc., in there. Um, Hard foods turn to toxic and make diarrhea worse. As long as hydrated, it should be fine. I'm not sure what that means. Thank you, Nikki, for that. I'm not sure what that means. Cor- Correct. Dark is old blood, worse than red. That's what I'd always learned. Yeah. I'm not working with the vet yet because this has happened so many times. I mean, like so many times that I don't see it necessary to go to the vet yet. Oh, we were almost there, but she's feeling better today. She's eating. I'm giving her smaller portions, and then I also got, as I said, I got the canned food, the canned, not the ID, but the Royal Canin version of the prescription dog food for gastro. So I'm giving her that because that's going to be right, like the science diet. Exactly. I've got 4 cans of that. Figured out the calories. So I'm going to give her, I'm going to keep giving her a little bit of that with a little bit of chicken and a little bit of rice. And the chicken and rice have been boiled to death, of course. I've got the rice water that she likes. And I do think Americans need to wake up to what's going on right now. Yes. Just to briefly change topics. um, but as I said, and I've got the probiotic that's very good, the propectolin that the vets recommend. She's a Yorkie Bichon, 10 pounds, 12 and a half years old, but relatively young for her age. But she's also on the propectolin that has the probiotic and the kaopectate, which also should help calm things down, and all of that. No, that's my sense. I feel like from everything else I've been through that other than I did fast her the one day. That's the one that we did, you know, but double prob, what is that? Maybe double prob, Webadeb. She definitely sticks with the, my mom's uh, Maltese Bichon does this a lot too. But I honestly, I found with Sasha, it goes for 3 weeks and she was pretty close to it. She threw up at noon. She threw up at noon and she didn't get any food until the next morning at 10 a.m. So it was 22 hours, you know. But with her it takes 3 weeks. I mean, literally, she was perfect 2 days ago. She was pooping perfect. Everything was perfect. Eating still this food, but the poop was perfect. And I was like, here we go. Next day, pure diarrhea. No, that's what I mean. And like I said, I've got the appointment for Monday with the guy, like just in case. But so far, she's eating again. She's drinking. So far, not having issues. I've learned in the past that one of the biggest things you've got to worry about is them not drinking, especially, and diarrhea and vomiting at the same time, which is why yesterday had me worried. Oh no, trust me, I become an encyclopedia when stuff like this happens. I do not leave it up to chance. If she has Crohn's disease, I can ask. Now she does have nascent kidney, whatever you call it, kidney disease. They think. Um, but because the blood test was a little off, I will say they said it because her urine was weak, but her urine has been weak since she was a baby because she drinks water like a fish. I mean, this dog, since she was a puppy, would drink 2 cups a day. She still drinks 2 cups a day, and she's 10 pounds. I mean, that's just what she drinks, you know? So, but anyway, yeah, I can mention Crohn's. Yep. All right, guys. Yep. No, it's the good blood. Well, animals, the pets can have a lot of our diseases. The thing is, it could be anxiety. It could be. Now, that's something I am writing down because I wonder about that. I wonder about that because, the thing is that, I'm going to put it here on my thing. Where is this? Starting a new one here for Sasha. Sasha, June 25th. Could be anxiety. I wonder about that because we've had a lot of storms recently and rain, and she's now anytime it rains, she gets scared. If she sees rain, if she smells rain, oh, this girl only needs to smell rain and she'll get scared now. Lightning, she learned early on that lightning means thunder. So lightning, even when there was no thunder, lightning. Now she smells rain. It hasn't started yet. She smells rain, and I can know she's by me. The tongue is going, and she's sitting there. So it could be anxiety. It could be anxiety. You know, I never thought of her as an anxious dog otherwise, but you know, we did have a storm again the other night that scared her. Was that enough to screw her up and make her go from good to diarrhea again? Maybe, you know, maybe. I'll ask the vet. I mean, I don't want to like put her on pills just to put her on pills, of course, but you know, but it's an interesting question. Oh, all right, guys. I want to get going. I got to get my nap. It's already 3:40. Jesus Christ. All right, we've been doing this for a while. I want to get my nap. I desperately need my nap. My dog had me up changing sheets at 4 a.m. Belarus, you know, they're so far, it's Putin's plan to make the Ukrainians put troops on the border and waste the troops so they aren't fighting the Russians anywhere else. That's what I got. All right, bye, guys. See you tomorrow, 2 p.m., same bat time, same bat channel.